the first time I met Paddy, it was my 27th birthday in a pub called Keogh's in the city centre. And a few of his mates thought it'd be a bit of crack to chat up to American girls, but they were all married, and so they said, you gotta meet my best mate. You gotta meet my best mate, Paddy. The best way you're in Ireland. He plays for Ireland. He never did, but anyway, so didn't even know what any of those words meant. And they put me on the phone to him. And here, chat to my best mate. And this is Dave Walsh. And I get on the phone to Paddy, and I don't understand a word he's saying. He said, "Where are you at?" I said, at a bar called Keogh's. And he goes, "Oh, do you mean Keogh's?" I'm like, whatever. Anyway, a couple hours later, he gets poured out of a cab. Leinster just beat Munster. And once again, I didn't know what that meant either. I know now. I knew a bit later. And he's a bit pissed, like. And he gets poured out, and his mates see him. He's like, Paddy Lane, come here. Gotta be these things. Whitney, come here. Come be my best mate. This is my best mate, Paddy Lane. And, to say I was unimpressed would be a understatement. All 5 foot nothing of him, with this jumper tied around his waist. I thought I was trying to bring back the 1990s, like, as a hoodie. I still have it. And he starts chatting us up, and still not impressed. But fair dues, 13 years later, 3 kids, 4 cities, maybe 5. And here we are.
Well, I'm Gav Cooney, and I'm a good friend of Paddy's, and I was asked to kind of share a memory for the boys, and I'll just tell you a couple of stories and stuff. Paddy and me were in college together. We're the same group, so myself and Mick and Henry and Hapo and Dara Ferguson and Doc were all in one big gang, and in various ways did the J1s and stuff together. And he was just one of the gang for a long time, but later on after college we kind of formed our own individual friendship. We were closer than just was one of all of our friends. We were always good friends, but we kind of formed our good friendship then later on. We were both single in Dublin for a number of years, and we used to go out. We had great fun. And then after Whitney and Paddy got married, there's actually a picture in your house of the bar they met in. I got a painting done at the wedding for in Keogh's bar, and it's up on your wall in your hall right now. But after they got married, I was traveling a lot with work, so I'd go to Austin, and I was able to meet and hang out with Paddy and have a whole new relationship with him and a whole new friendship, because I was able to go to America a lot. And one funny story was we were out one night in Austin, myself and Paddy, and we got absolutely bananas. And we did a load of Jaeger bombs, which is my Jägermeister and Red Bull, which is my drink of choice. And we went from bar to bar, and we up and down 6th Street, and we had so much fun. And what we were doing was we looked at every band we could find. We'd give them $20, and we'd say, play Wonderwall. And then we'd drink a load of Jaeger bombs until they play Wonderwall. And then when they play Wonderwall, we'd drink the last Jaeger bomb, and we'd leave. I'd go to the next bar. Well, those cost about $200. We went to a 10 pubs and went bar to bar and just get to play Wonderwall. It was just a stupid thing. And it was just so much fun. And that was the kind of man Paddy was. At the time, Paddy and we were living like miles out of Austin, Texas, in some place. And it was an $80 taxi out there. And we were so drunk that we missed each other outside the bar, and we got 2 separate taxis home. And it was the time when we couldn't afford one taxi, let alone 2 taxis. We had 2 separate taxis home from the pub. I arrived home like 20 minutes apart. I arrived home And Whitney's there going, where's Paddy? I'm like, I don't know. Last time Paddy arrives in, and we left a voicemail for Hapo, and I could play it for you. And it was Paddy at his happiest, having fun, having a bit of a laugh, and ringing Hapo, and like just taking the piss out of Hapo and giving him shit. And it's a lovely memory. It was just over 10 years before he died. And I sent it to him on the anniversary of this thing happening because I had it in Google Photos, came up, it was 10 years. But I was there many times with him, and every time we just had a laugh. Really, really great guy, and he was a really good friend, and I miss him dearly. But I guess I wanted you to know what kind of guy he was, because, you know, obviously, unfortunately, you won't remember him now very well. So I'll play the voice note.
Okay. Hi, this is John. You know what to do. Hi. So, butter bean. How are you, butter bean? Are you well? She was rather here in Austin, Texas. When I arrived home, Paddy was not here. Paddy had to come home. That's all. $80 fucking dollars for a cat later. Each. Hi, $160 between the two of us. We could have been together. That comes to right home by itself. Tradition. I just think it's important that we, I return. Last month, I was there. There's no prick here cooking fucking drink Jägermeister. Actually, no, that's right. It's never been Jägermeister. It's cute. For fuck's sake.
That was the voicemail that we left Hapo. As it's a lovely memory for me and Hapo now. About him, he's a great guy. There's loads of other stories about being on J1 in San Francisco and in college itself, and many nights out in Dublin. We're both single, but I do have that one overarching memory of us just absolutely crying laughing in Austin, Texas, and just having the time of our lives. That's the kind of guy he was. It was pretty great. So there you go.
We're Pat's cousin. I'm Marie, and this is Marie. And we have brilliant memories of Pat. He was full of fun coming down to Gravel on his holidays, always messing, having fun, making jokes, just pure messing and laughing, and great memories of Pat in Gravel as a cousin. And this is his other cousin.
Another cousin?
He complained about Jesus, my mother's grave being full of lumps one day.
Oh yeah, she did.
We had such fun.
Great fun, great memories, very witty. I actually met him out one night. I was out at work, and we were out at work until the 12th of Christmas, and he came up and he was chatting to me. And he's been all serious, but I realised he was actually taking, messing with me and being smart. I think he was giving up on my outfit or something. Always witty.
We enjoyed his sense of humour.
Hi, so I'm Margaret Ann. Hi Stephen, I'm your godmother. I guess you know this. Hi Paddy, hi Sean, hi Whitney. So I've been asked to kind of tell a little story about like the memories I have in my mind with Paddy. And of course I've got adult memories like, drinking beers and having a good time in bars and chatting and joking around. But I have also great memories of him as a child when we were children together growing up in Lucan and messing about climbing trees and, torturing Alan and playing games, making forts, running around the fields, trying to set fire to things, climbing trees and my next door neighbours and, throwing stuff over the hedges and basically just being mischievous and doing lots of things that young kids did at the time, before the advent of the internet and TV and stuff like that. And we were lucky that we were able to live wild, really. And I remember that Paddy actually had a dog called Ranger, and like that poor dog, he was really in love with Paddy and Alan because Connor wasn't born at that time. And he came to stay with us one day, and Paddy and dropped Ranger to our house, and Ranger was like howling and howling and howling and howling. And in the end, we just had to open the back door, open the front door, and the dog ran through white Labrador, ran through the house at high pace and hightailed it the whole way down the road and back to Paddy and Alan to their garden, where I think it actually jumped the wall. Just reminds me a little bit of the kind of craziness of the time that we were living in the 80s. And of course, Paddy and Alan, they came to Brussels when we lived there. We travelled all around the place. We got the train to Paris. You know, we were all just feral, and there was something great in that. And I think that born out of all that freedom and creativity was, you know, are all of our respective great futures. And you had a dad that was mischievous, but a miracle and so smart. And, you know, we loved him very much. Hope he's...
My name is Doc, and this is
Daz.
Dara.
I'm able to speak for myself. Yeah, but thanks.
We're friends from UCD, and we also spent a summer with Paddy in San Francisco on a J1 in 1998.
Yeah.
And
Stonestown Apartments.
Stonestown Apartments, yeah, outside. Paddy was there 2 or 3 years ago. He sent us a picture from outside of the apartments. Henry made mention of Paddy staying in touch, and that was one of his great characteristics. And we all worked at the US Open golf tournament. We were security guards there, and probably the worst decision they made, because we got into a lot of trouble. I remember one night we were quite a few people were in the bar of the hospitality tent, and there were like 2 Americans working on the thing, and they called in to report that they heard some noise coming from the hospitality tent, except it was mostly our group. And Paddy answered and he said, "Yeah, no problem. We've got this under control. We'll take care of it for you."
And then we went, and then everybody would switch to the Irish, start speaking in Irish, and say, "Okay, go to Iverani." We'd all switch to Channel 9. We'd all speak and say, the American guys are on the way down. Everybody clear out. So everybody would clear out, get out of there. Whoever was supposed to be there would say, "Paddy, all clear, nothing to see here, carry on as you were. Okay, coast is clear, next one." Yeah.
Last day of school, and we basically we'd been there for years. We're leaving forever, and we were trying to have a prank that we would pull. So we basically we lined up all of the desks, a bunch of desks against one wall, and then we just put them all in line. And then, as you were coming out, you'd lean one of the desks up, and then you would let it drop as the door closed. Now it's physically impossible to open this door. Now it was on the second floor, but there was windows in the hallway. And so now we've locked this one, and then we locked the second one. And our dean at the time, Liam Naughton, comes along, and he's having none of this. So he climbs up on the back of a chair or something, and he starts pulling at the windows. He's pulling at the windows from side to side, pulling the windows from side to side, and he manages to pull one off the hinges. But the window basically hits the ground, and Paddy just goes like this, and he drops. And he naturally had a bump on both sides of his head, but Liam didn't know that. And so he gets up holding this bump on his head, and I imagine for a few seconds Liam's life flashed before his eyes.
So hello, I'm Mick. This is a story when Henry was doing the eulogy, he actually asked me from stories about Paddy, and it felt like the thing that summed him up the best. And Henry didn't tell it properly during the eulogy, so I'll tell it again. When we were, Richie, who you'll know was from Australia, sent a photograph of some of the time we spent together. And he sent one photograph that it only struck me that Paddy was everybody's best friend. This photograph was a group of us who'd gone to Germany for the Munich Beer Festival or something like that. One of a series of trips that includes Pamplona and Bremen and so on. And the photograph was of us arriving at the airport. There's 4 or 5 guys, and I had always assumed that he knew the other 4 through work and one place in work. But it turns out that we were all a really, really good group of friends. Paddy was good friends with all of us, but we were all from completely different walks of life. He'd met us in completely different places, and he had this ability just to bring people together and to be everybody's best friend. So we had people from Hertz, we had people from Mars, we had people from UCD, and all because of Paddy and his ability to do that brought together, and we're still friends today, 20 years on.
So
hi, I'm Beth, and Paddy and I were great pals after college, and we were single together for a long time. We used to sit on each other's couches in Milltown on a Saturday night to keep each other company. But Paddy was always well able to knock me back down to size. And I remember telling a story once in my parents' house, and I was giving out about this girl who was all dressed up and she looked beautiful, and I said, but she had lipstick on her teeth. And Paddy turned her around and went, that's because you were so perfect, Beth. And my dad nearly fell off the chair laughing that someone could take the knees from under me. But that was Paddy, and he always had a one-liner, and he was always able to put me in my place, and he'll be forever missed.
Connor, Steve and Sean, so really sad that I'm here talking about this today, but so I was there the night that your mum and your dad met back a couple of years ago in Cafe on Sen. I was friends with your dad for 20 years, and he was one of the greatest guys I've ever met in my life. I'm supposed to talk about, you know, some amazing memories I have of him, but I couldn't possibly talk about all the great memories I have of your dad. He was quite simply one of the best guys I have ever met in my life. If I was to talk about one moment, you should talk to your mum and dad about, or your mum, about the day that I came to visit your mum and dad in Jacksonville, and myself and your dad went to the golf at the PGA in Sawgrass. We ended up shutting down a restaurant, with an Albanian restaurant, with all of the staff, and drinking and singing Irish songs. Your dad had an impact on everyone he met. You know, you're not going to remember today, but every person in life, he was one of the smartest, the kindest, the funniest, the wildest, the most fun, and the best guys who has ever existed. I'm going to miss him so much. But he left a legacy which is in you guys, yeah, and I hope that the only time I speak to you is not on this video. I hope that we're going to see each other over the next couple of years. I've asked your mum to bring you over next weekend. I'm hoping that, you know, I can get you away from the whole Leinster rugby thing to support Munster rugby. But guys, he was the best. All right, and we're really going to miss him.
Hi, my name is Emer. I've known Paddy since 1995. I met him on the first day of Commerce in UCD. So I think he had tried engineering to start with, but this is when he transferred into UCD, and he was standing behind me in the queue for Theatre L on our first day of Commerce. Don't know exactly what he said, but he made a joke while standing behind me. I turned around and we got chatting, and then we were friends from that day on. And we hung out a lot. We used to go out with all of the rest of the friends from Commerce. We also used to share our love of The Simpsons, and Paddy used to record The Simpsons on video, and we would sit and watch it, and he would quote all the Chief Wiggum and Skinner and lots of other characters, and he loved to listen to Radiohead as well. We had a lot of good times together, and we also went on our J1 to San Francisco, and that was a great trip too. And I must dig out some photos that I have at home of Paddy, because we had a lot of good times together.
Hi boys, my name is Paul Hatton. I played invective with your dad. Your dad was a super player, a very quick winger, and as a forward I found it really hard to keep up with him. I have a good story about your dad. When your dad was back in Ireland working for Apple, he posted a picture of himself on a train heading to Cork, and he said, can't wait for my trip to Cork, and I saw it on social media. And I was heading to Cork that night, so I dropped him a little note and said, hey Paddy, where are you staying in Cork? And he was like, I'm staying in the Kingsley Hotel. And I said, so am I. So we thought, you know, wouldn't it be great to link up in Cork for a drink? And unfortunately, the word a drink was more like 15 or 20 drinks. So I met your dad in the hotel in Kingsley, and we had loads of pints and whiskies, and we chatted about his time in America. We chatted about you guys, we chatted about Whitney, and my wife is American too. And then we came across a wedding party who were Americans, and we started drinking more drinks, and before we knew it was 4 a.m. and we're being kicked out of the hotel. But my memory of Paddy's wit is this. The next day, Paddy sent me a message and said, how are you feeling? And I said, I'm not feeling great. And he said, I hope it's at least another 5 or 10 years before I see you again. So it was always enjoyable to meet your dad, and he was a great guy, and we're going to miss him dearly.
When your dad was young, I walked home from school with him, and he spit in his hand and put it on the handles of car doors. So if they say you're being bold, just say your dad used to do that. And see that scar there on my head? Your dad gave me that. So that's enough ammunition. Paddy, great fella. Kids, best of luck. That's the end. No more. There's no nice bits. I'm just telling you bad bits. Take care.
So I met Paddy in engineering in first year in university. So 17, he was 18. And we became really good friends. But one of my funniest and best memories memories of Paddy was actually at my wedding, which is very close to here, just up on Temple Road, so 5-minute walk here from the Dropping Well. And Paddy decided that he would sing at my wedding. So he took over from the band, he sang Suspicious Minds, he swung the microphone, he did the whole shebang, he slid on his knee across the stage. The band were very unsure at first, but then they were there because all the crowd got going and were clapping and whatever, and so they started to play along with them. And he was what everybody spoke about again the next morning because he was amazing. Not that he was an amazing singer, but he was an amazing performer, and everybody thought it was hilarious. So he really stole the show from me at my own wedding. So that's my funniest memory of Paddy. He was always a showman, he was always a funny person in the room, great friend, and I miss him so much.
How you doing? My name is Ray McElreevy. I played with Paddy in St Mary's Rugby Club. I always loved playing with Paddy for the following reasons. He was incredibly fast, incredibly skillful, and he was full of mischief. I remember once playing against Clontarf. We were losing by 5 points. It was the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. We were deep inside our own 22, which means we were defending. We got the ball, and I said, right, let's do, I can't remember what the move was called, but it was incredibly complicated, it was incredibly high risk, and if it worked, it was going to mean putting the left winger away. Paddy comes into the team huddle, I said, let's do this. Paddy goes, yep, let's do it. Everybody else was like, we can't do that here. I said, no, we're going to do it. Cue 3 seconds later, Paddy Lane ends up with the ball just outside the 22 and took off 70 yards and scored a try under the post, and we won the game. That's the sort of guy he was. I always loved playing with Paddy Lane for all those reasons. Great player, great guy, and a real gentleman.
So a lot of my memories of Paddy involved rugby and watching Leinster rugby. I think down in Kylie's in Donnybrook. I remember one night out with Paddy, Leinster had won, probably won, didn't really matter. We were always happy that we'd seen a Leinster game, and we're in the bar, and we're probably drinking too many pints, as we did. And it's towards the end of the night, I'm like trying to find Paddy in his sea of Leinster shirts. And it's really hard to find your friend when he's wearing the same shirt as everybody else, except when your friend is Paddy, your dad. Because the easy way to spot Paddy, and the way I did find Paddy, was in the back. I saw him arm around somebody else, the only man in the whole bar with his top off and just a mat of hair. That is Paddy Lane. It's how I'll always remember Paddy, the mat of body hair. And I love him and I miss him.
So I've known Paddy for almost 40 years. He's my younger brother's best mate, so he half lived in our house. Every Sunday he came over to avoid mass, and he also had a sniff of a Chinese. Whenever the Conlons had a Chinese, Paddy Lane turned up. So my favourite story about Paddy would be around the time of Henry's wedding, when he got very drunk, and as Paddy, as we all know, was a very hirsute fella, the most hairy legs I've ever seen in a man. We used to slag him that he was half chimp. And so when he got very drunk and fell asleep, I shaved Go Fast stripes into his legs. And he was playing rugby the following week, and he scored 2 tries. So I always reckon it was the fact that I made him more aerodynamic that made him score those 2 tries. So love you, Paddy. Miss you. Take care, buddy.
My name's Gary. Actually, you'd all know me as Sampo. I was in college with your dad, Paddy. And I wanted to tell a very quick story, because we've hundreds of stories all about time in San Francisco, but a very quick story about a time that your dad went for a job in Hertz Rent-A-Car. Now, your dad didn't do accounting in school at all, or in college, and I did. And he rang me the night before this interview and he said, Gary, I have a job interview tomorrow in Hertz, and it's kind of a little bit important that I know something about accounting. And I spent 3 hours on the phone with him explaining debits and credits in accounting, which will mean nothing to you right now. But he blagged his way through the whole interview and got offered the job as head of accounting. Only your dad, Paddy Lane, would have been able to do that with his cheeky charm. Anyway, best of luck. Best pal I ever had. Cheers.
Getting rid of the leaving cert, and Paddy, as was his character, would have been messing around. Paddy proceeded to nearly break my arm before we had to do state exams. Paddy would have been very exuberant with his character, jumped off one of the school benches and proceeded to punch me in the arm, and I literally just drained, nearly fainted, and nearly broke my right arm. Paddy thought it was such a laugh. I had to do exams the next week. Thankfully it wasn't broken, so that's an abiding memory of Paddy as well. I have to say we had a great love of music for the Pogues. We went to a couple of concerts together and we had a great time. Always got up the front, always hard going, but we made sure we kept in contact, and it's just to say you'll be missed, and yeah, you'll be missed as a mate. Thanks, Paddy. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Max. I know Paddy from the Mary's Mafia, but I also worked with him in Super Quinn for 2 years. We worked very closely together. And my outstanding memory is that he nicknamed our boss Waterford Crystal because at the time there was a big scandal with Olympics horse racing and horse jumping in Ireland, and Waterford Crystal was the name of one of the horses involved, and they reckoned our boss was a bit of a mad horse who took too many drugs. But he was always great fun, spent a lot of time in instant messenger chatting to each other, but heart of gold and honest to the core and just really one of the good guys. See you, Paddy. Good luck, Whitney and boys. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brendan Crowley. I played Invective with Paddy for many years, and you know, he was a fantastic player. For a little guy, he was extremely tough and strong, unbelievably skillful, a wonderful teammate. On the pitch, you could always rely on him, and off the pitch, he was just a wonderful character. We used to go on away trips. We used to do some sing-songs on the bus on the way back, and Paddy'd always be in the thick of it. And we used to sing the Beatles song Penny Lane to him, but obviously we changed the name to Paddy Lane, and he used to really enjoy that. So, wonderful guy, wonderful teammate, wonderful friend, and look, he'll be really, really missed forevermore.
Yep.
Paddy Lane, good friend, your dad, strongest guy I've ever known. He hurt like a lot when I tried to tackle a rugby match, but I love that guy. Very proud to have known him, honoured to think of him as a friend, and I miss him a lot. So, love you guys, and you take care. Bye-bye.
I just want to say big condolences obviously to Connor, my best friend, and his family, Paddy, Mary, and indeed Merve as well. We're us from the Mansouris. We're wishing you all the best, and we hope that you can find some solace at this tough time.
This is the story of The Rock. It's not a very exciting story. So many years ago, my name is Peter, by the way, and I played rugby when I was small, and I played with your dad. His name was Paddy Lane. And when we were small, there was 4 young lads on the team. We were called Boyzone, I think, at the time. It was me, Paddy Lane, Paddy Parr, and Dave Lyons. And we played this game against Delasal Parmesan. We was up the hills, and on top of that, we'd all thrown a bit of money. We'd had a bit of a gambling escapade, and we'd won lots of money. So we won our match, and we'd won lots of money. So we said, should we go to a pub up the hills and we'll drink lots? So what we ended up doing, we go to a pub called Johnny Fox's. So during this event, our manager, a fellow called Brendan Foley, otherwise known as Reg, not a bad egg, he gave this speech about these 4 young lads carrying the team. And what we were expecting was a presentation of like beer, money or something. And what we got was 4 Cadbury's cream eggs. And we decided we'd get our own back on Reg. So we're up in Johnny Fox's. And we said we'd kick the shit into Reg. We said that wasn't enough. We said we'd wait until he went to the toilet. And we'd go in after, we'd take off all his clothes, beat him up and then fuck him out. But Reg had around 9 pints, he didn't piss once. Well, we were young then, we had more energy and sense. So we found a rock on one of these rock walls. It was a big rock. It was like, hey, that size of a rock. Big lump of granite. We brought it on the bus back to the pub. It was the morgue. So if you went to the toilet, you'd have to carry the rock to the toilet and back. It's a heavy old rock. It's only like 5-6 stone. And this doesn't seem funny at all, but like carrying the rock around. Paddy Lane got the rock. So, at the end of the night, he says, what do we do with the rock? So this fella, we never got our own back on. We fucked it into the boot of his car. Yeah, drink driving was okay back then. So we left the rock in the boot of his car, so we kind of just did him on the old petrol expenses. He was driving around for a while saying the old car was stuttering a bit, because it was a heavy fucking rock. He was unaware it was in the boot of his car. That's the end of the story. Thank you.